And welcome everybody. This is Dawn's 11 o'clock Friday class. Oop, and I'm still letting people in. And we are doing Arthur's theme today in book 134, the AFI's 100 Years of 100 Songs. And I have a nice introduction for you. So if anybody wants to get a hold of the nice introduction, all you have to do is email me and let me know. And I know sometimes my hand scratchings are kind of hard to read, but at least you can make them out. And so if it interests you, let me know, and I'm more than happy to send it your way. I also made a nice little arrangement, nothing hard. Everything is pretty much rhythm presets. But again, when I make an arrangement, it's so that you guys can look and see, can I do that on my instrument? And where are those buttons? That's what we're looking for. Cheryl, I think you had a question, and I didn't get a chance to answer your question, Cheryl Trask. Go ahead and unmute yourself and let me know. No? Okay. All right. We'll wait till later.
Dawn, I just have a suggestion on those handouts that we could get on the email.
Uh-huh.
I don't, are you doing them in pencil or?
Yes, I do them in pencil because I have to erase all the time. Somebody told me my last one was very light and they couldn't hardly
Yeah,
see.
I was wondering maybe you could go over it then with a
Yeah.
pen or a
Yeah.
felt pen. Yeah.
Normally I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So I will either use a different pencil or I will go over it with ink once I'm done because I have had other complaints about that. So good suggestion, Connie.
Thank
Good
you.
suggestion. Yep. Okay, what do we know about Arthur's theme? This was co-written and performed by Mr. Christopher Cross, also from sailing fame, if you remember that song. This was the main theme for the 1981 film Arthur, starring Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli. It won the Oscar for the Best Original Song in 1982, and it reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and the Adult Hot Contemporary charts. Co-writers were Burt Bacharach, Burt's wife Carol Bear Sager. I've seen her name all over the place too. She's a good songwriter. And Liza Minnelli's ex-husband, Peter Allen. So all these people knew each other and they were all in on writing this song. Peter Allen did a lot of co-writing with Carol Bear Sager. So yeah, it's a very small world, the music writing world. If you pay attention to all of the people who wrote the songs, all of your composers and lyricists, it's a very small circle actually, and everybody knew each other. All right, when you get caught between the moon and New York City, that's the main line of the chorus. That was a line that Alan came up with while his plane was in a holding pattern during a nighttime arrival at JFK Airport. So he's up in the air, circling around, going, I am right now between the moon and New York City. Oh, sounds like a good line for a song. So it's amazing how when you think of things, you should write them down because you never know when a good song or poem is going to work out of it. And Leon Strone can tell you all about that. He's our #1 poet in our group. All right. Now, drummer and guitarist were Jeff Porcaro and Steve Lukather from the band Toto. So, again, everybody in that circle, just they knew each other, they played with each other, they performed for each other, and they did studio work for each other. So, yeah, just a very small, tight musical circle always. It seems like always. Yep. But that's the way it was, and this is an excellent song. It's fun to play. And I do have the intro here. I think the first thing I'm just going to do is play my arrangement. It's not difficult. I didn't do a lot of things. But see if you can listen for what changes I did do, and then we'll go through it. I do have a couple of new chords for you. Yes, because I can. And I changed up a couple of the notes in a couple of places. So, I'm still trying to let some people in here. All right. And hopefully you enjoy this rendition of Arthur's theme. And there's lots of different ways you can play this, by the way. So here we go. Am I on the right one? Yeah, it didn't sound right. fade it out. Okay. Oop, here comes Buddy. Can't get him in. Winnie coming in. All right. Did you hear some changes? A lot of the changes are subtle, and I used a lot of rhythm presets, and I also went from upper keyboard to lower keyboard. What was I actually playing on? I was actually playing this on contempo folk style, or on the larger organs, it's basic folk. Basic folk. And I used alter style. And when I started, I did not have the drummer going. As a matter of fact, I turned off Genie and Orc Plus and no drums. Okay, so that's how I started. And I was using, which rhythm preset? Rhythm preset 8.
You got the water on for coffee.
I think I was using rhythm preset 8. Yeah, because it had, nope, that
As
wasn't.
time goes by, it's next week.
Oop. Okay.
Dawn, somebody's not muted.
Yep,
Oh,
I see
Melissa,
that.
I hear you.
I'm catching it. I'm catching it. Some people don't even realize. It's all right. Okay. So, wow, what did I start with? I think I started with number 8, but it was. Yep, it's preset number 8, rhythm preset 8, vintage 8 on the larger instruments. And so on the bottom, which is an electric piano combined with a flute. Okay, whoop, here comes Pam. She's late today. And the top is piano and strings. And so with that piano and strings on top, and remember, I'm turning off Genie and Orc Plus, and I'm taking the drums all the way to the bottom. This is what I used for the intro, and then when I played the first part of, I played the first 2 lines and the first measure of line 3, that would be my first preset, okay? And I went to the lower keyboard. So the first part, the intro, is on the upper keyboard. And the only beat is the bass player. So make sure your bass player's on, and if you need more volume, go ahead and put the volume all the way up so you can hear the beat. You need a little bit of something keeping you accountable for the rhythm. Now stay on that same preset and go to the lower keyboard for the first 2.5 lines. Still no drums. Now here's where you're going to add your drums to make the next preset. This would be rhythm preset 2. And you're also adding the Orchestra Plus. Oh, I'm sorry, you also, the first one, make sure you put drum variation in. So minus Genie Orc Plus, minus drums. Well, there is no drums, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. The second one, make sure it's your drum variation. And add the Orchestra Plus. And then just stay on that same preset and stay on your lower keyboard. And you're going to go from number 2, which starts at Wake Up and She's Still With You. And you're going to play until you get to the chorus. Now the chorus is actually a pretty easy place to see because it has 2 lines on that top line of the second page, and the silly sign is there too. That's the chorus. That's where you want to start your third one, When You Get Caught Between the Moon and New York City. So what am I doing for that? Okay, what I did was I added the Genie, and I added harmony, and I added the octave AOC in the more. You could just add regular AOC or trio, or you can even just add duet. I just wanted it to be real thick. And then I went to my upper keyboard. So you want to put A3 or whatever number your preset is, it's number 3, and then you want to put a U, meaning go to the upper keyboard. And with lots of harmony. Okay. okay? And you're going to play that all the way to the end of the page. Now there you have a first ending. The first ending has some dots. Where are the dots taking you back to? All the way back to the beginning. So if you've got your markers, if you've got your highlighters, you want to make a color on those dots and go all the way back to the beginning, right after the 4/4. Make that same color. Now the second time you're playing it, you're going to have a new preset. You're going to take off the harmony, and you're going to take off the genie, or the basic on the larger instruments. Genie and basic are the same verbiage. Take off the harmony and turn off the genie. Leave the Orc Plus on, and you can also take your drum variation off. I think that went off. Yeah, that went off in the third preset. It went off. Okay, so now I'm going to play on the upper keyboard. So make sure you put a U so that you know which keyboard you're on. Same piano and strings, just no harmony. We're just simplifying it just a little bit so that it's a little different from the chorus. The chorus, we want to have all the full harmony. So you play that for the entire page up to the chorus again. Now the chorus, all you do is go back to your third preset with all the harmony. Now if you do not have savable presets, don't worry about it. All you're looking for is a one-button push, harmony on, harmony off. If you don't want to turn your drums off, you can leave your drums on for the whole thing. Just pretty simple stuff. So you're really only having 4 different presets, 4 different things that you have to do. And then you finish playing the song. Now, when you finish playing the song, you're skipping the first ending and going to the second ending. You have 2 thin lines at the end of the second ending. That's not the end of the song. It gives you instructions. It tells you what to do. It says DS and fade. So I'm going to make that green, and then I'm going to go back to my silly sign and make that green, and that means you're going to go back to the chorus and play and then fade it out. I played the first 2 lines and then started fading out from there. And I just hit my fade button, or if you don't have a fade button, just bring your foot back on your expression pedal until it gets all the way to 0. So that just makes for a nice arrangement. Now, if you don't want to do any of those things, you find a good rhythm and you go with it. You just play the whole song. So what else can you use besides the folk style, which is your contempo? You could also use, those of you that have always in mind, those would be your larger instruments, always in mind. Vintage 0 works very well with that. Acoustic guitarist, those of you that have the guitarist backgrounds. Guitar standard. Write the songs, vintage 1, do not go to the alter style. Stay at regular style. Now, what if you have, sweet rhythm also worked very nicely, by the way. Sweet rhythm. I think that's under rhythm and blues. Sweet rhythm. My tempo is 117 or 116. That's a toss-up. Anywhere between 110 and 120 is going to be fine. What if you have a smaller instrument? If you've got the Freedom 3, the mellow easy 8 beat is good, but I thought there was one that was even better, and that would be the standard swing time. Standard swing time. Now, what did I do for the easies? Easy 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 10s. Rock full band. You can combine a flute and a guitar instead of having an organ. That's going to lighten it up a little bit. Or an electric piano and a flute. That's going to lighten it up a little bit. Or I actually thought that rock pianist, which is your Memphis piano, was even better. Even better. Now remember, on the easies, your pianist and guitarist backgrounds do not have drums to start. So you can actually start the song with no drums, and then add your drum volume when you get to the next part. Now you might need to take an extra measure to do it, but that's okay. You actually have a complete measure at the beginning of line 3 where you can just take your time and just put that drum volume all the way to the top, one button push, and then then by changing your harmonies, adding and taking away your harmonies, those are your one button pushes. And it would make for a very easy way to make an arrangement. You just have to write down. And don't forget to put U for upper keyboard or L for lower keyboard. Because when I was doing this, I couldn't remember from one to the other, so I had to make sure I wrote it down. Make sure you write it in. You always think you're going to remember, and you don't. So just take little notes, and if you want to put it on a worksheet, number your measures. If you want to just write it right in where it is, just write it in small enough that it's not distracting from all the chords and fingering and everything else that you got to take a look at. So far,
How
do we
about
have
Dream
any
Kiss?
questions?
How about Dream Kiss?
Dream Kiss would probably be okay. I'm sure there's 100 other backgrounds that would work on this. This was an easy one to find backgrounds for. That's a fact. So absolutely. Yes.
Did you have the lower tab down?
Lower tabs, yeah, you could hear my chords.
Okay.
Yeah, the lower tabs were on. So you could hear that little bit of, there were some strings. There was strings 8, flute 8, and an acoustic guitar. And that just came on with rhythm preset number 8. So when I'm playing the chords, there's a little bit of a hum there. And then that guitar gives you the, can you hear it? I don't know if you can hear it over Zoom.
Okay, no, I can hear it.
Okay.
Thanks.
But yeah, that adds to that first part of the song. Any other questions before we move on? Any questions about the roadmap? No? Okay. Now I am going to make another suggestion as far as the roadmap goes. If playing it twice and then going back and just finishing up with the chorus is not enough because you love playing the song, there is actually a saxophone solo when you play first ending and then go back and play to the second ending. You could actually go all the way back to the beginning of the song and just do a saxophone solo on the entire first page up to the chorus. Now, how would you do a saxophone solo? Well, you got to get a different preset or you got to just hit a saxophone. Now, the saxophone solo can just be you playing the melody. It doesn't have to be a solo. For those of you that have Fake It, that would be a good place to try your Fake It. Just play your chords and either noodle to do a Fake It, or if you've got one of the fancy instruments where you can hold a black key or hold a black key to do the Fake It, that would be good too. Or a combination of the two. You might want to play part melody with the sax and part Fake It with the sax. But that's just something for you to try. Then when you get to the chorus over here by your silly sign, then you take your Fake It off and go back to either the original sound or not. You can stay on the saxophone and fade it out. And that would be the end of the song. So you could actually include an entire third time that you play it if you're going to add the solo. So try that with your arrangement and tell me what you think. All right, let's do some extra chords. This is the fun part. First chord is a C minor. That's C and E flat, chickens and flat elephants. If you wish, you may put a 7 on that chord, which would make it C, E flat, and B flat, butterfly flat. Now remember, 7s are optional, so you don't, and all my chords are optional. You don't have to worry about it. Let's go to line 2, third measure. Make that D a D sus, S-U-S. That's a D suspended fourth. You may play it with the 7 or without the 7, doesn't matter. But your 3 notes for a D sus are D dinosaur, G gorilla, and A alligator. If you want to add the
Daun?
7, It's the C on the bottom. Yes,
What exactly does the sus do?
it's a hanging chord. That's a good question. All right, a regular D chord. Let's get it on just a piano sound here. A regular D chord is actually D, F sharp, A. And when you're playing single fingered chords, those are the three notes it's actually playing with the one finger. When you do a suspended fourth, you're changing the third, which is the F sharp, to the fourth grade of the scale, which is the G. Hear how it hangs? And then we're going to resolve that back to a D or a D7 over the C for in, close in. So you're going to do the D sus for 2 counts, and then you're going to do a D or D7 on beat 3, which is over that C. So it's going to sound like this. Okay? That's what it's going to sound like. That's me knowing all the notes. You just have to know which notes to play in the single fingered chords. So yours would be D7 sus. I'm trying to get it to sound nicer. Let's just put it on easy. Let's take it off this and just put it on easy. There's the D sus going to the D7. Hear how pretty that is? Okay, let's go to line 3. We'll have more sus chords coming up. Don't worry. First measure, where you have that whole rest, you're going to have 2 chords in that measure. Beat 1 is a D dinosaur, and beat 3 is a plain old G gorilla. Now here's where you start your second preset, if that's where you're putting it. You may put a 7 on the C minor, just like you did at the beginning of the song. So it would be C, E flat, and B flat. Chickens, flat elephants, and flat butterflies. The rest of the chords on that page are fine, exactly the way they are. Woohoo! Let's go to page 2. The first
Dawn,
Go ahead.
got a question for you. Would you give me the chords again for the over the rest?
Yes. Over the rest in line 3, it's D dinosaur for the first 2 counts and G gorilla for the 3rd and 4th count.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Top of the 2nd page, the D, the very first D, make it a D sus. That's a suspended 4th. Your 3 notes are D dinosaur, G gorilla, and A alligator. That's good for 2 counts. Beat 3 over the C. Now you have to resolve it to a plain old D or a D7, which would be C and D. Chickens and dinosaurs. Now you have the 3rd measure. You have another measure of whole rest. You're going to put the same 2 chords that you did over here. D for the first 2 beats and G for beats 3 and 4 over the rest. Dinosaur for beats 1 and 2, gorilla for beats 3 and 4. Now we go to the chorus. Make that C a C major 7, C capital M-A-J 7, which would be C and B, chickens and butterflies, or you can play butterflies and chickens. I don't care which order. I see nothing. Let's go to line 2. Now your chords are going to be in strange places. We're going to put the chords on beat 2 and beat 4. That's not normal for chords. Normally chords are 1 and 3. So beat 2 over the F sharp, put a D dinosaur, and beat 4 over the E, put a C chicken. These are easy chords. Make the G a G major 7, G capital M-A-J 7. Remember, the major sevens are always the letter of the chord -1. So it's F sharp and G. These are jazz chords, and they sound really cool. The last measure of that line, you have an A minor. You may put a 7 on it. Your notes would be C, G, and A. Beat 4 of that measure, all the way at the end of the measure, put a G gorilla. That's good for 1 beat. And then the third line, the first beat of the first measure. So put it all the way at the beginning of the measure, A minor or A minor 7, which would be C, G, and A.
Dawn.
Yes.
Dawn, is the, in line 2,
Mhm.
measure 1,
Uh-huh.
is the D over the first F sharp?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, the D is over the first F sharp. It's the second beat of the measure. And the
Okay,
C
and the
is over the E, which is the fourth beat of the measure.
Yeah, okay.
Good question. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Betty, did you have a question? Betty? No? Okay. All right. Line 3, measure 4. You have a C. Make that a C major 7. Capital M-A-J 7. The two notes are C and B, or B and C. Doesn't matter which order you play them in. Come down to the next line. You're going to do the same thing in this measure that you did in line 2, first measure. Beats 2 and 4. Over the first F sharp, beat 2, put a D, dinosaur. Over the fourth beat, the E, put a C, chicken. The B minor, you may put a 7 on it. Otherwise, just play B minor, which is D and B, dinosaurs and butterflies. If you want to play the 7, it would be adding the A, D, A, B. All right, here's an interesting chord that we don't see that often. Make the E an E sus, E suspended fourth. And if you want to add the 7, you may, but that makes it a 4-fingered chord. E sus is E, A, B. E, A, B. And elephant, alligators, and butterflies. And it's that hanging chord. That's good for 2 counts. If you add the 7, it is the D, so D, E, A, G. No, I'm sorry. It's D, E, A, B. And that's good for 2 counts. Over the third beat, which is the second quarter rest that you see, go back to a plain old E or an E7. You have to resolve that. Suspended chords are really cool. They're moving chords, they're hanging chords, and then they move you into the next chord. If you wish, you may put a 7 on the A minor right next door to it. And then let's go to the last line. Cross out the G over the word love and change it to a C, chicken. And then in the first ending, first beat, now put your G back in. That's almost like doing a hanging chord. And you're also going to do that in the second ending. Put a G chord in the first beat. Any questions about chords?
So you hold the G, hold it for the whole measure.
Yes. Well, the G, all you have to do is touch it and it'll hold for the whole measure. Oh, you mean the G note?
No, I know you hold that two
Yeah.
beats, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, the G chord, once you touch it, it's good for the
Yeah.
whole measure. Yep.
right.
Yep.
Hey, Dawn,
Yes, Ramon.
on the suspended chords,
Uh-huh.
okay, you always resolve it with
Not
the
always.
chord?
Not always. 99% of the
always?
time it does.
Okay.
99% of the time it will. There are some songs where the composer wants it to hang until it gets to the next part of the song, and it will not resolve. And it usually is when the composer or the lyricist is asking a question and they just want it to kind of hang in the air, that they do not resolve the suspended fourth. But 99% of the time, suspended fourths do resolve back to the same letter of the chord. So if you have an E sus, it resolves back to an E.
Okay, thanks.
But in music, nothing is for sure. You know that.
Yeah,
But yeah, 99% of the time it will resolve back to the letter. Any other questions before I change some notes? Nope. Okay. I didn't change too much. The second time you play the first verse, or the second time you play the first page, when you do living his life one day at a time, line 3. The first time when you play it, it's wake up and she's still with you. But when you're doing living his life one day at a time, these are the notes. Right? Different notes. So if you want to play them, you got to write them in. Third line, second measure. Instead of the G. Now you don't cross out any notes because you need the notes that are written there for the first time you play it. You just have to fill these in and know that this is the second time you play it. Beat 4. Over that G, you want to put in another E flat. You're on E flat. Put another E flat. Beat 1 of the next measure for day at a time, day. Put another E flat on the top space. And then this is the tricky part because you got that stupid 8th note flag in your way. So you have to write the notes over that 8th note flag, and then you just have to know what they are. So the second, over the first A, the second note, put in an F, which would actually be the top line, and you don't have room to write it. Over the second A, the third note, put in a G, which is a little higher than the F. It's usually the top space over the staff. And then over the A for time, go back to F. So your notes are E flat, F, G, F. E flat, F, G, F. And you just play it the way you would sing it.
I listened to that, Dawn, and I
Uh-huh.
didn't catch that the second time.
You didn't catch that?
I did not catch it.
Listen
Okay,
to it
I
again.
will listen.
Okay. And what else did I change? Oh, the very last time when I'm playing the chorus to do the fade out, here's how it's written. When you get caught between the moon and New York City. Now, one time he sings it like this. Right? Right? Now, if you don't like it, don't even listen to what I'm about to say. But if you want to fill those in, and then use your pencil because you may decide to erase them later. At the end of line 1, over the last G, pencil in an A. The second line, over the G, pencil in a B over the G. Over the F sharp, pencil in over the F sharp an A. Over the next F sharp, pencil in an A. Over the E, pencil in a G. Next measure, over the D, pencil in an F sharp. And over the B, pencil in a D. Basically, you're just doing it in thirds. But you're just playing the top line the second time. Actually, it's the third time you play that. And if you don't like it, Forget about them. It's okay.
Dawn, could
Yes.
you, could you just do a transpose up on that instead?
Nope, that's not going to do it.
No?
Nope,
Okay.
that's not going to do what I just did. All I did was I played an upper harmony note. I played an upper harmony note, but only for a very short part of the phrase. So if you want to add that in, just make sure you play those upper notes. Here's
Dawn?
the difference. Yeah, I'll play it again, and then you can listen to all of this.
Dawn, did you play the regular chords during that?
I played the D chord and the C chord that. And
Yeah, you played
yeah.
them the same.
Yeah, I did not change chords. I played the chords that were there.
Okay.
Yep, good question. Yep. Okay, I am going to do fingering, but let me play this whole thing one more time. And now that you have the changes, I want you to listen for not only the arrangement changes, but the chord changes and the extra note changes, which there aren't that many of them. But here we go. I'm not going to add the saxophone solo. I'm just going to play the way they told us to play this. Okay, here we go. With the intro. Fade it out. Okay. Any questions? Nope. Okay. All the extras are optional. Optional. But the suspended fourth chords really are nice, and the major 7 chords are nice. So if all you do is learn one chord, if you learn one major 7 chord or one suspended fourth chord today, you are 100% successful in playing the song. Okay? And don't worry if you don't want to play the introduction. Use whatever introduction is on your instrument, and it's in the key of G. So if you're using an intro from the organ, start with a G chord.
Dawn, are you sending us the intro?
If you wish, yes. Yep. Now I am probably going to have to redo it in pen because I've had a couple of people say that when I send you things in pencil like this, I do it in pencil so I don't make mistakes, or if I do make a mistake, I can erase it and redo. But I will ink it in if you want.
I've never had a problem.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
I've never had a problem either. I just go over it if something's light.
okay. Yeah, some
Hi,
people.
Dawn. It's Inez. I'm sorry.
Hi,
I couldn't I couldn't sign on. What rhythm are you using for this?
I am actually using the folk style or basic folk, which is under contempo with no variation, with the
Okay.
alter style. And use rhythm preset 8, and then I use the up and down ones.
Okay, 8 with alter style.
Yes, yep,
Okay,
yep.
thank you.
Kept it kind of easy. I just made some little changes by turning my Genie in Orc Plus or my Basic in Orc Plus, depending on which instrument you have, turning them on and off to make the background fuller or less full, depending on how I was feeling.
Okay, and you said contemporary?
Contempo, folk style.
Okay,
Yep. And I'm at
thanks.
between 110 and 120. I'm actually at 117. I don't know where that number came from.
Okay. I'll put 115.
Yep, that's perfect. Yep.
Thank you.
Next week, we will do As Time Goes By from Casablanca. Beautiful
Oh,
song. Yeah,
That's a blinker.
that's a good song too. Yep. And stick around. I will give you fingering for those people that wish for fingering. Not everybody wants it. So, you know, if you are done, if you got enough out of it today, thank you so much for coming. And go to the beach and have a wonderful day.
Yeah,
And I'll
go
see
to
you
the
next
snow
time.
pile.
Dawn,
Yes?
I finally figured out how to turn my speaker on. I've been
Okay.
talking to you and you weren't answering me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, on the first page on the third line, when you
Yes.
start the second time,
Uh-huh.
where do you start those high notes?
The extra notes. The extra notes. Wake up and she's still. All right. The word
some eggs?
And she,
wake up and she's still with you. And you'd want to just write in the extra notes. So E flat, E flat, E flat, E flat. Here's where you start writing in. E flat, the fourth beat of the second measure. The first beat of the third measure, E flat. Over the first A, F. Now that's got to be above that stupid line that's there because you got those eighth note flags and it's right on top of where you should be writing these notes. F, and then over the second A put in a G, and over the third A put an F. So it's E flat, F, G, F.
the first E flat is where over what?
Over the G for the word still or one.
Oh, okay,
So it's E flat, F, G, F.
okay. Now I got you.
Okay.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
You're welcome. Okay, anybody who wants fingering, stick around. Get your pencils out. Remember, my fingering is subjective to change, no worries. But if you like it, it's a good place to start. All right. E flat 5, 5, 5, 5. G1, G1, A2, A2. D4, 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 D4. B flat 2. E flat 5, D4, C3, B flat 2. Put an arrow on the next C, make it a 5. C5, 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 C5. E flat 2, D1, C4, C4, B3, D5. Third line. E flat 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. G1, G1. A2, A2, A2. Now, the second time you play that phrase, and I wrote the numbers, the first time I wrote them underneath the notes, the second time I wrote my numbers on top of the notes so that you can do it above the high notes that you just wrote. It's going to be E flat 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, F3, G4, F3. All right, E flat 5, D4, 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 B flat 2, E flat 5, E flat 5, D4, B flat 2, G1, C5, 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 E flat 2. Let's go to the second page. D1, high C4, C4, A2, B3, D5. Let's go to the chorus. All the G's are 5s. Now, when you play it the second time, you're going to have to figure out your own fingering because I didn't figure out those fingers. Okay? Or when the third time, I mean, when you put those higher notes in, you're going to have to redo your fingers. You'll figure it out. It's not that big of a deal. But this is for the first 2 times that you play it. All the G's are 5s. The second line, G5, F sharp 4, F sharp 4, E3, D2, B1, check mark. B3, 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 C4. Third line, G1, A2, B3. All the G's are 5s. Let's go to the fourth line, G5, F sharp 4, F sharp 4, E3, D2, B1, E3, B2, C3, 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 D4, E5, B2, and the last line, C1, C1, or I'm sorry, C3, C3, C3. I'm going to mess you up here. I'm sorry. Those are C3s. D4, E5, B2, C can be 3 or 4, B can be 2 or 3, G1, G1, and that's it. It does take a little bit of work. My best advice that I give for every single song is play it the way you would sing it. If you follow the notes to use as a guide only, play the notes in the time the way you would sing it. So that means if you know the lyrics, which most of us do, if you don't, la 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 works really well, but play it the way it feels with the rhythm. Okay? Any questions?
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Love
I have
it.
so much fun doing this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have an
Thank you,
unrelated
Dawn.
question.
David, go ahead.
I have an unrelated question. I was watching Terry yesterday
Okay.
and I don't remember what he was playing on, but he had some button, an extra button of some sort. And anyway, I couldn't find that, but I found something else that kind of jumped out on me here called
Okay.
Quick Picks.
Oh, quick picks, yeah.
How does that work?
Quick picks is
How does that work?
you know how when you need a sound, you either have to go to your Genius Voices, or if you're in the Inspire and up in the E line, you go to Sounds, and then you have to scroll forever to get there. A quick pick is just a quick way to find one of your favorite sounds. Okay, like if
That's
you
what
go-
he had. He had sounds. But,
Okay.
you know,
Yep.
so I had Quick Picks, but when I do that, okay, I get all these neat little things in here, piano, accordion vibes
Mhm.
in there. So then what?
Now you have to, first of all, you have to realize that wherever you're putting it, it may layer into whatever you already have going. It may not replace it. If you only want one of those instruments to play, make sure that you turn off everything in your upper keyboard, which is all your upper tabs. Make sure your orchestrals or your orchestral sounds, everything is off. Nothing is on the upper keyboard. Okay? Then when you go to Quick Picks, you touch it. Guess where it is? It's on the tip of your finger. Now you have to put it someplace. Do I want it in my orchestrals? If I do, you either put it in Genius or Sound, and then tell it where it's going. Upper keyboard, make sure you tell it where it's going. and then it will be.
You told us that before. I remember in that one song.
That's what quick picks are for. Now, if you choose a quick pick and you want to layer it with all your sounds, put it in a place that already does not have the uppers already on. But be forewarned, it may get lost in whatever else you have going. Now, if there's another sound in quick picks that you want to layer it with, now you can touch that one. Say you touch trombone. Here it is. It's on the end of your finger. Now go to the next orchestral or solo, genius or sound, touch it, and tell it where it's going, up or down. Then you'll have two things going on at once.
So for instance, if we want to do that sax thing, we get the sax sound. We got to make sure we got everything else turned off and then put it in one of those places.
Correct, yes. Yes, and then save that preset. Yep. Or you can scroll. Once you get something in there, now you can also scroll because you've got several saxophones. You may wish to have the breathy tenor sax. You may wish to have the soprano sax. You know, it depends on what sound you're actually looking for.
Right.
Quick Picks is just a quick way to get to some of your favorite sounds.
So if you go to the where it's, put in the numbers, if you look at see what you want, and then you put in the numbers.
Same thing. You go to the home base, you go to your keypad where it says numbers, you put in number. I know that piano is number one. Number one. Now it's here. Same thing. I have to put it where I want it, either in sound or genius, and then tell it where it's going.
Right. Okay.
Upper or lower.
Right. Okay.
It's the same principle. It's just easier to find. If you don't know the numbers, you got to look it up. What number is that? If you know the number, it's easy. That's why Quick Picks was invented, so that you don't have to do either one of those things.
So on today's song, did you also have a sheet where you had the setups like you did the other? Oh, good.
I do not have the setups because there just weren't that many.
Oh, okay. All
just
right.
weren't that many. So I hope you took some notes. If you didn't take notes, then make sure you go back to Patreon, and I think I pretty much was clear on the first one. You turn off the drums, you turn off the Genie and Orc Plus, make sure drum variation is on. When you get to the second one, it's drum variation plus Orc Plus. Yep.
The first one you had drum variation on?
Well, it doesn't matter if it's on the first one or not because the drum's volume is at 0.
Oh, yeah, because you said no.
Yeah.
And then the second
one, then your drums are all the way up, and it is drum variation. And remember, alter style is on the entire time. If you're using contempo folk style or basic folk, then you want to make sure your alter style is on.
Okay.
Or not. You might try it without it and say, I like this better. But see, what this is it's not to get you to use my arrangements exactly. It's for you to check where these things are, what it does, and so you're getting comfortable with where the buttons are on your instrument. That's what this is all about.
Okay. All right, but we can email you for your intro.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dawn.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Go to the beach, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.